Memphis, 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 Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee, the beautiful land in the world.
And I'm thankful for this guy who tweeted and said I don't have that fire in my eye no more. That game right there was for him. That's what I do. I prove people wrong each and every night, and that's for him right there.
Hi, this is Tom Izzo at Michigan State, and you're listening to Grizz 901.
Yo, what up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to your favorite Grizzlies post-game show. This is Grizz 901, and we are coming at you right after that ugly, disgusting, terrible, no good, very bad game. The Dillon Brooks revenge game was in full effect, and the Grizzlies take the loss. It was ugly. We're going to hit into a lot of the game tonight, 103-96, dropping down to the Rockets. But we do have a lot to discuss. We are a part of the Bluff City Media brand. I am your host, Daniel Greer, and Nate will be joining us very shortly. But if you could, be a friend, tell a friend, and help us. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button over on YouTube. If you're on Twitter, we can actually see your comments. Join us over on YouTube. You can find the link in the profile if you are over there. But it's over there. Just Google Bluff City Media on YouTube. It's very easily. But we're going to get into a lot of the game tonight. As you know, what we're going to do is break down the game completely. So we're going to hit about 20 minutes or so. We will hit and discuss all of in the ins and outs of the game. You know we're going to hit on Ziaire LaRavia. You know we're going to hit on Ziaire LaRavia. You know we're going to hit on Taylor Jenkins at this point. My God, it's disgusting what's going on. Where is X? Where is Conchar? Because even those two dudes are better than the white boy himself, Ziaire LaRavia and Ziaire Williams. Then after that, we're going to get into the second segment, and we're going to come out right away with an easy trivia question for Nate tonight. It's easy. I hope he can get this one. But after that, we're going to finish off with a little bit of Ja Morant talk on what's upcoming. What does the offense look like? Because obviously at 96 points, my God, do we need him? But we are now one game away from having him back. And then the third segment, it's all about the OKC Thunder. We're going to preview that, and we're going to give you a little pat on your booty and send you on your way. So if you could, wipe your feet, hang out with us. Let's go ahead and get the show going. Yo, what up, Nick? Man, you are on mute. What an
I need
idiot.
to pick me up.
Are you taking whippets?
This is terrible. Look, it's Ziaire LaRavia. It's Ziaire LaRavia. White and worthless.
Dude, that
empty
dude is
calories just like it's empty minutes. Actually, it's negative. This is bad for me, just like LaRavia is bad for the Grizzlies.
All right, listen.
Did you notice everything was all Grizzlies? It was all Grizzlies till Ziaire LaRavia came into the game, which I didn't watch.
We know you watched. Secretly, you watched. Let's get into a little bit of the comments because they're already flowing through. This is my favorite thing, as everybody knows. I'm going to try to do an intro that is a little bit, professional. I'm trying to get into a little bit of a tease, if you will. But we're going to get into a little bit of the game. But first, I want to hit on the comments. The Grizzlies do lose 103-96 to the Rockets. It was ugly. It was disgusting. Let's get into a little bit of this. Officially, Dak Daniels is on the hate train of Taylor Jenkins. And I have to say, Dak, me too.
Yep.
Me too. And then Shane says, I didn't drink nearly enough for this crap. And that's really what it is. But I'm trying. I'm going to do my best. Hey, this is, it's not your Jack you told me to get. It's Duke. Shout out to Duke.
You would like something called Duke.
And so Jack's, he's tired of watching the 2-3 players and not have no business being on the NBA court. Like literally, like you can look at those two dudes and see that they aren't ready. We're going to get into that very shortly. But one home win from LOL. Nope. Jones. And then making Alabama. All right. I don't know who this is, but he knows me. But what's up, man? I don't know. Making Alabama. All right. I see what you did. Making Alabama. All right, these are my favorite things. We're trash again, says Dennis, and said, listen, it was the revenge game of Dillon, so we'll have to give him his love. LOL. Nope. Jones says it's very poetic, I guess, right? He looked like trash in the very beginning and then came back and just tore our hearts out. We're going to get into this comment a little bit later on from Dennis is why is LaRavia playing over anyone? But let's just go Lofton, X, Conchar. But you know what? All in all, we got one more game till Ja returns. But let's get into this game. Off the top rope, Nate, give me your initial thoughts. And I need you to first exclude Jake LaRavia. Give me all your other thoughts.
Yeah, they all suck. Like, dude, you got Jaren, Dez, Vince. Like, dude, my guy Roddy, like, Vince swung it to him at the end of the game, and I literally screamed no. Right. I love David Roddy. I've been the president of the fan club. I still like David Roddy. But my God, dude, like, it's just so many dudes who just make loser plays.
Yeah.
Whether it's Santi, like, throwing it behind his back to the Celtics, or going up and then, like, going mid-air jump pass to David Roddy, like, 8 seconds left on the clock. What'd you think was going to happen there, dude?
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of dudes who don't know what the heck's going on, man. It's just terrible. It's so many guys who are just terrible. And you know what? Like, honestly, good for Dylan because it was good to see the crowd give him a little ovation. I think he's deserved it. I think everybody sort of come to terms with his time here was up, but he earned the ovation that he got. So I was glad to see that. If they're going to go out, might as well go out like that. And if you had any confidence in them making a shot to come back before he hit that, then you are a better man than me. Because they can't make a win and play unless it's Dez or Jaren. And the Rockets were making sure Dez and Jaren couldn't do anything tonight. They're like, you wanted an open shot and your name wasn't Desmond Bane or Jaren Jackson, you could get it.
Yeah, for sure.
They're just terrible. And then it's like they made an adjustment after the first quarter, and the Grizzlies did no adjusting. Nothing. David Roddy's guarded by Fred VanVleet the entire second quarter and never once touches the paint. Now I'm like, am I on crazy pills?
Yes.
Am I on crazy? He's twice his size. It's just insane. It's insane they can't find a way to make an adjustment. Like, honestly, I've not been a Taylor hater. You've not been a Taylor hater. I have zero defense for Taylor Jenkins on that. It was all Grizz. The Rockets made an adjustment, and then it was just they were dumbfounded. They did the same thing. Dez trapped himself in the corner 5 plays in a row. They kept screening left. When he's on the left side of the floor, they trap him. He have to throw it away, and then Bismack basically barely caught the ball.
I
don't know what's going on. Taylor, it's the same thing. The lineups are trash. The players are trash. No, you told me to come off the top rope, and you told me I couldn't talk about Jake LaRavia. This is your fault. Yeah. I know the players are trash, but Jesus Christ, Taylor.
Yeah. Like, no, listen, I wanted different. Well, we're going to get into plenty of Jake LaRavia. I wanted you to hold that for later because I want to see what else is out there. Like, what else are you saying? And listen, I will back you 100%.
Okay, Ziaire.
Just go.
Like, listen, here's the good news. X and Jitty are getting traded, which means they're bringing in some kind of help. Otherwise,
let's get into that.
There's a special place in hell for making us watch that. Unless it's like, if it's like this, hey, we're going to see what we got in these guys. Guess what?
I will be so pissed.
Absolutely. If Grizzlies by the end of by Tuesday. I put up all these nights you can see. Well, husband of the year, surprised my wife with some Christmas decorations. Got a little Christmassy drink to make me feel better. I will burn all of these decorations. I won't because my wife would murder me.
Yeah, why would you burn your own decoration? It doesn't make sense.
Because I got to have something to destroy.
Something to burn.
Something has to burn. And apparently it can't be Jake LaRavia's contract. So, F me.
All right, so real quick, I just saw this. And Sam, buddy, I don't know who you are. I appreciate you because Dylan Brooks, he doesn't own me. He doesn't own the Grizzlies. He had a good game. But I will say thank you. I wasn't aware that you could actually put messages in Twitter and they come over through Twitter. Listen, today is the first day that we're now live on Instagram. Okay, that's new to us. They just changed the way that some things happen through Twitter. So maybe we're getting comments through Twitter. So if that is happening, thank you. But Sam, thank you for that. At least it brings that to light. Back to what we're talking about. I'm not a guy who tries to hate on a coach for the most part, just because I think coaching is very, very hard. It's very overrated most of the time. because most of the time you're really just steering the ship, keeping everybody motivated, keeping everybody happy. Okay. That's what I think mainly coaching is. And it is X's and O's here and there, but a lot of it is letting their players be the players. I think that Taylor does a decent job of it. But if John Conchar and Xavier Tillman are not traded, and that's not the direction we're going, then what are we doing? Because Ziaire is not it. The dude has he doesn't know, like he is that baby giraffe trying to find himself. Like he doesn't know if his legs are his arms or his arms are his legs. He doesn't know what to do out there. He's just frolicking and doesn't know where to go. And that's really where it comes down to. And Jake LaRavia himself, he's just a dud, man. He just is. Like, he's just a dud. He's a dude that's a dud. And it sucks because it was a trade that we had to send out a guy who was Mr. Do Something in Melton and bringing back a guy who's Mr. Do Nothing in Jake LaRavia. And I hate it every time I see him. So I want to know what's going on. And I'm going to give the coaching staff and the front office a pass for one more game. Okay? Because if something doesn't happen soon, and I get it's the 15th today, right? So this is the first day. Maybe teams played that they wanted to go ahead and make the trade with. Let's get past this game, and then we'll talk overnight. I don't know, but I'm going to be very frustrated if they are still on this team and nothing has happened, and we go back to playing Ziaire and LaRavia again. Like, it can't continue to happen. It's going to piss me off. I'm not that guy that gets pissed off, but I will be.
The law firm of Nathan Sane and Greer is going to be filing a suit for emotional damages if they aren't traded. This is some bullshit. I promised my wife I'd do better, but it's crazy, dude. I mean, it's just terrible. And like I said, good for Dylan, but the Grizzlies made it so easy for him to make that shot. Like, they just made it. They set the moment up perfect for him to do that, right? It's just like, how many bad plays in a row can you make? It's just terrible. It's just god awful, dude. No adjustments. I mean, I don't even care. Even if X and Jitty aren't available, still don't play Jake. Maybe give Ziaire a 5-minute shot and then just ride those other dudes. Just play Vince. He's your third best player right now. Like, D Rose going down made it harder, but dog. Give the minutes to Roddy, give the minutes to Vince. There's 0 point in playing those two dudes. Ziaire, the only thing he is supposed to be good at is defense. And I'm telling you, you and me, because he's so afraid of everything, could blow by him right now. You see him just being afraid of the moment. He's afraid of stuff. Like, it's not like he doesn't have the tools to do it. We've seen him do it. He's just afraid of it. Can't catch a pocket pass, man.
Yeah. Listen, I've never seen so many damn pocket passes in my life
that didn't get caught. That's the only reason you noticed them.
We are a good pocket passing team.
Not a good pocket catching team.
We played the guys who are taller. Okay. They're not ballers. Okay. They're, shot call, whatever you want to call it. They are not those dudes. They should not be doing pocket passes. Jacob Gilliard, who you can fit in your pocket, should do a pocket pass. The other dudes don't do pocket passes because Bismack Biyombo can't catch a pass to save his life. If you throw it up, use the big paws, grab it with the big paws, keep it high, send it home. Well, that's what Bismack can do. And he did that in the first quarter, and it never happened again.
Here's the problem. If you're Desmond Bane and Jacob Gilliard, you don't have any other choice because they're triple teaming you. Like, that's what it is. But guess what? Kadarius Toney, you are a Memphis Grizzly. As soon as you get cut by the Chiefs, you can come not catch passes for us too. Dude, it's like
Kadarius Toney.
I just spent the entire fourth quarter talking about how much of a loser everyone on the team is. Which is honestly, it's not the case. It's a bunch of dudes who are playing roles they shouldn't be playing. But like, dog, how many times can you make the wrong play? Like Santi making the jump pass out of a shot where he had an open shot. I'm like, dude, there's 2 guys on the court right now that have made a 3 tonight, and you're one of them. Just shoot the damn ball.
Yeah. Riley Harris, we're going to get to your comment here in a second. He wants to ask about some realistic trade targets. We're going to get to his in a second. There are some more coming in. I just want to go through a little bit of the comments. As I've been cycling through, a lot of times we will hit on your comments, sometimes not, depending on if it's in the conversation. But what I will say is Titus Willis. Yes, I am happy for Dylan. I hate that he gave that to us. I'm happy for him as a dude because I know what it means as a human to stick it to your former profession, former friend, former girlfriend, whatever. Like you stick it to the man and you're like, see, told you. That's an awesome feeling. And so great for Dylan. I hate that it came at our expense. But I will say it was great for Dylan because he looked terrible in the first. Very, so bad. Like, he was literally not there. And then all of a sudden, dude just shows up out of nowhere and is like, hey, it's me. I learned how to shoot and I learned how to play the second half. Hey, it's me. It's the Mario.
All right, I'm breaking up this comment from Dak. I'm sorry. It's here. If you think anybody's trading for Jake straight up, Dak, then you need to get off the drugs.
All right, listen. All right, so let's go back to my starred comment I have here of Riley. Who are some realistic trade targets? Okay, let's get into that real quick because we're on it already, and I know you're talking about it. Okay, we're talking about Andre Drummond for Jake straight up. Why that works? One, the money works. Two, why would the Bulls want to do that? Okay, you want to be worse if you're going to blow it up. if you blow it up, you want to be worse. You want to have a guy who has potential. Drummond is on an expiring deal. That's why you would do it. Now, I'm not saying I would do it if it was me, but we're also looking at this as a very small sample size because he really hasn't been great, but also he has the talent to potentially be good. Would they make a swing at that for Andre Drummond? If you're trying to lose, you don't need a backup big. I think you would do that. I think you could also get more. So it might have to be with a second round pick or maybe a couple of second round picks. I don't know. But that's why that would be. Any trade should be for 2025, as Alan says. I agree, but let's make it for the 24-25 season. I think that's what you mean. But yeah, for the next season, any trades you make should not be for this season. It should be for next season for sure. Let's do a realistic trade. I'm going to go with Lonnie Walker, who is out in Brooklyn. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's had obviously he's not playing right now. So I'm not sure if he's hurt, but Lonnie Walker looked great. He's on a 1-year deal. I believe it's $2 million. And so that'd be somebody who you could go after. Anybody that you have on your kind of on your mind that you would like to see them go after in general.
I was going to ask, you think we could pay someone to take Jake? Jake is like, you ever had that ex-girlfriend that you were young, so you thought you knew what love was, but you really didn't, but it still hurt really bad when you guys broke up and you have that thing that's hers and you just want someone else to take it because it hurts so much to have it. That's what I feel like with Jake. I just want somebody else to take it because it hurts so much. So any trade that involves getting rid of him, I'm basically game for. As far as who we could bring in, I don't know. I basically just let Chris come up with all my trades. So I just copy all of Chris's trades. So he had one for Keldon Johnson he put on Twitter where he saved the Grizzlies. So shout out to Chris at Crimman_ on Twitter. If you don't follow him, you should. He's an amazing follow. But he has a Keldon Johnson trade and an OG and an Obi trade that's out there. Who's the other one? Oh, I said earlier today, the Cavs, it looks like trouble in paradise. They should probably bring in a bunch of young, unproven assets from a team like Memphis and then give us Jared Allen instead or Isaac Okoro or Dean Wade or literally anybody other than who's playing for us right now. Yeah. Honestly, if the Cavs are in trouble, then I would actually kind of knock on the door there and see because they got guys who at least can play NBA minutes and can do something, which is more than you're getting out of some rotation guys right now. But yeah, realistically, I can't really think of much unless you're bringing in a big that's cheap, which I don't think you can do. Maybe a Drummond type thing, or you're swinging for the fences with a guy who you think is going to shore you up for 2025 as well, like an OG or Devin Vassell would be great, but I don't think the Spurs move off of him. Keldon Johnson. Because quite frankly, in basically 2 games, your reinforcements are here and you start playing Marcus Smart and John Morant. and then life gets a lot better, right? Luke Kennard, I'm not sure exists. I imagine Jitty and Tillman probably are gone. We're in agreement with that, right? Like they're probably gone. That's
They have to.
It's the only explanation.
All right, and I said this. If you missed it this morning, shame on you. You should be watching every show I ever put out. But I was on the daily grind. I was on the daily. Yeah, nobody watched it. I was on the daily grind this morning with Mark, and so we talked a lot about this in general. But I will say that I don't know, something has to happen because X and Conchar are two of Jenkins's favorite players. He always goes to them. Anytime when things get tough, he will lean on those two dudes, and he will start them to keep the rotations the same because he likes his rotations, and I get that. You want to keep everything the same. You want to keep guys in their flow, their game. But, man, to play Ziaire and Jake over those two dudes right now when they don't look good, when you have to win games and you would want to depend on guys who you could trust, right now is the time you play those two dudes. The fact that he's not just shows me like, hey, I can't hate on him because he's probably like being slapped on the wrist like, hey, bro, you can't play these dudes. They can't get injured. We need them to send them out. So that's why. But also, last thing I will say, shout out to all you. I can't get through these comments fast enough to look through them. So I don't know why tonight we have much more. We usually have them going pretty good, but I can't keep up tonight. And so I apologize if I'm missing your comment. I am trying my darndest right now, but I am missing so many. I even have Goon the Shooter up here for this long. So just give me a second. I'm going to get through some. I want to go back up a little bit and try to find some. I'm trying to star these. I'm trying my best.
While you're getting into it, I do have to say, Sarah, my beautiful, amazing, wonderful wife, is sitting next to me. And as soon as you said it's good that he sticks with rotations, I just heard, So my wife, who did play college basketball, played basketball at a much higher level than you and I ever did, thinks you're wrong. And I tend to agree with her. I hate F those rotations, dog. It don't work. If it ain't working, then dump it. And he's terrible at that. Yeah. Hence why Ime Udoka outcoached the piss out of him tonight. So, listen, I actually like X. I actually like Jitty. I am praying to God that they get traded because if not, I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive Taylor for playing Jake and Ziaire over him. I don't think I could do it. So, yeah, that's it. Right. I just want to point that out. That's it.
Real quick, let's go back to some ones that actually started. I want to come back to. So, Hunt Jardina says he didn't know if we touched on Jake LaRavia's valuable fourth quarter minutes. We did, but what I will say is I often text Ryan through the games a lot of times. Most of the time it's about betting related, to which we listen these back-to-back nights versus Houston. I think I made 20 units on, if you don't know what a unit is, whatever your normal bet is, okay? I made 20 units, which is 20 good bets on the first Houston game. This game I made like 16. Okay, I love these two games. They were amazing. Thank you, Vince Williams, because the books can't keep up. They don't know who Vince Williams is, and I love it. I'm just cashing him. But why you play Jake LaRavia, I have no idea. Like the fact that the minute separation looks the way it does, it's disgusting. I don't understand why in the world we have Vince Williams, who did play he ended up getting up to 30 minutes. But the fact that David Roddy played 28, Aldama playing 26, Ziaire only ended up with 15, but I think he only had 6 in the first half, if I'm correct. Let me look at my first half numbers. I closed it. Never mind. But I will say that it was not the same. Like it doesn't make sense. But all in all, it was disgusting. What I will say about the game.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Because you mentioned it at the beginning, like if anyone's wondering, I actually did not watch the game when Jake LaRavia played tonight. Like Daniel pulled out we know you. No, I need everyone to know that I said it and I meant it. I won't watch. I will not watch while he's in the game. Because League Pass is such an amazing product, it didn't work on my TV. I had to put it on my computer. So I turned the computer towards my wife and then started watching the game on the ESPN app, just keeping up with the play-by-play to know when to watch the game. I won't do it. I'm not going to watch it, Daniel.
I don't believe you.
You don't have to believe me. It's between me and God. And God knows.
All right, let me get to these real quick. And so the Grizzlies outscored the Rockets 29-14 in the first quarter. After that, the Rockets won every single quarter. It was 31-26, 30-19, 28-22. The Rockets scored 45 points in the first half. The Grizzlies scored 41 points in the second half. That's the biggest thing. They scored 58 in the second. We scored 55 in the first. Like, if you look at those separated numbers, like, it just shows that every team had their half. But the fact is they went more than we did, but they were consistently scoring more than we were in the second half. It just goes to show that once we kind of got our subs in, we lost that momentum. We couldn't find a way to get it back. And that's why we're scoring 96 points. But all in all, the first quarter looked amazing. The Grizzlies played with energy. They played with effort. And after that, it kind of went crashing down very fast.
He kept doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
That's what drives me crazy, Daniel. I think that's what's the biggest indictment on Taylor. Like, honestly, I think playing Jake and Ziaire, especially if we don't trade those other two guys, is borderline unforgivable. But when I see Desmond Bane take a high screen left to the sideline and get trapped 4 plays in a row, I'm like, dude, I know you want the players to be able to make adjustments, but Taylor, that's on you. You're literally standing right next to him. You got to do something different. When Fred VanVleet is guarding David Roddy, who, if nothing else, has been able to get in the paint and succeed, even against some bigger players, and you can't find a way to take advantage of that mismatch and then let the Rockets go on a run, that's on you. That's what drives me crazy, is when they get beat the same way over and over again, and they give up these runs. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. Also, shout out to Goon, X-Line Pizza. Incredible. If anybody doesn't know what X-Line is, great pizza.
Listen, I don't know if you're pulling up that one. Let's look at this one. Shout out Sarah. And Nate's wife is Kelsey Plum?
Nah, my wife's better than Kelsey Plum. Come on now. Yeah, my wife is the coolest. I don't know how she puts up with me. She almost didn't tonight. Once they got going in the second half, and I started letting some words fly. I didn't in the first half. I started getting in trouble. I deserved it.
Yeah, Keith was talking, and no Vince Williams until like the 6 minutes in the fourth. It doesn't make sense. Like, and I said at the very beginning, like, you have to play Vince more minutes. I know he played 30. He went for a long stretch early on in the first quarter. I think he went out early, the third quarter, where he went out with 4 minutes and 4:21, I believe it was, that he went out, and he never came back in until the start of the fourth, and then went out and then came back in later in the fourth. Like, there's too much of that. You have to have a guy who you feel confident, a guy that's played very well for you in Vince Williams. You have to get him on the court more. He's young too. Like, he is not, like, you're not going to run him ragged. You have to figure out a way to keep guys like that on the floor. And if everybody wants to know, LOL, nope, Jones says he's ordering a pizza.
I will say, like, the good news is after this next game, which I'm anticipating they get absolutely murdered in, they're not going to have to do that anymore. Like, Marcus Smart should be getting back into the groove of things. Ja Morant's going to be back. And so, like, the minutes distribution is going to be a lot easier to figure out for Taylor. So good news is Taylor's life and our life as Grizz fans is about to get a lot easier. But
same
nights like tonight, you got to play him more. And honestly, I know everybody's trashing Roddy right now, which I want to talk about more in a second. But dude, play Roddy more. Like, he did these little things where he's subbing guys. Yeah, give all the minutes you gave to Ziaire in the second half to Roddy.
I would have went 8, man. Well,
there's a point where he's subs Ziaire or whoever out for 2 minutes and then puts him back in or something like that. It's like, dog, like, these young guys, if anything, have to get in a rhythm if they're going to contribute. And subbing them in and out every 2 minutes isn't going to cut it. And I get you're trying to find something that works to an extent. But, like, that would be an okay excuse if we hadn't seen so much of it not work. Like, how many minutes did Santi get tonight? How many minutes did he get tonight?
26, I believe.
Okay.
Big brain right here, guys.
More minutes to him.
More minutes
to him. Yeah. You know why? Because it means less minutes for Jake and Ziaire.
No, I'm down with that.
Only math you need to have.
I'm down.
It's the only math that matters. And on this, so I'm bringing up this comment from NK. Why was Roddy in there clutch, throwing up brick after brick? I agree. Like I said earlier in the show, at the end of the game, when Vince swung it to Roddy in the corner, I screamed no. So I'm like, dude, you're like one of the only people who has actually managed to hit a shot tonight. You can't pass it to the guy who's been breaking them.
Yeah.
All that to say, like, we have seen Roddy be able to do this before. And like Roddy has contributed this year. It's not like one of those things like where Ziaire, where he had the playoff stuff his rookie year, and we're like, oh man, it looks like he actually might turn into something, and then it's been hot garbage ever since.
Yeah.
Like Roddy has hit some shots. Roddy has made some plays for you this year and looked like an NBA player. Right. So I don't mind that dude getting minutes. Now, at a certain point, it's the same thing. Like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again.
That's what we doing.
Yeah. So like when Santi passes it to D-Rod, and then when Vince passes it to Roddy, and so I'm just like, dude, you got to know better in that situation. All that to say, Roddy being out there, I have no problem with, because you've seen it happen. And at the end of the day, like, who else are you going to put out there? Truly, like, you want Jake in there instead?
That's the issue. That we're
okay. I would have rather not watched any of that game. I guess that's a positive that come out of it. Like Ziaire,
you got to play somebody, right? And so if it was me,
right.
I there's two train of thoughts here, right? You can either go with the young guys and just live and die by it, knowing that, hey, we could get burned, we could get killed from that. That's what's happening. And I don't know if that's the train of thought that they're going with, as, hey, we need to either develop these guys and suck, or potentially develop them and somehow they get better and they play well. I don't know. But the other train of thought is you shorten up the rotation and know that, like, maybe in game 10 or 12 of this 25 game stretch is when you let these guys go. But in game literally 24, like, maybe this is the time that we try to grab one more win, because you're probably not going to go, you're not going to get the win against OKC. And it's a back-to-back before Ja returns. I don't know why you wouldn't shorten up the rotation. You have 2 days off. Just do it. Like, the Grizzlies are now 1-11 at home to the Rockets, who are 1-8 on the road. Like, it's just disgusting that we can't close out. We're playing so many bad people, and that is what it is. Like, we're playing dudes that should not be playing.
Well, and bringing up NK's comment, we all would rather have Concha RX, but
which is crazy to say.
The basic, well, just for anybody who's coming in late, once again, I've seen a lot more people come in since we started the show, so thank you guys for joining us. But at the beginning of the show, we talked about, like, those guys have to be getting traded. If not, then this is unforgivable, and I will never forgive Taylor Jenkins for this. I'll be honest, like, I will never get past it. I will officially be on the Sane train and the Chris train of, like, whatever, get him out of here. I can't take it. So we all would rather have that. They've got to be getting traded. It's the only excuse for them not being in there anymore.
It doesn't make sense. Big Die says that X is still hurt. Listen, it could be. I think they would get in trouble if he somehow was doing medical stuff and wasn't being on the report at all. I think that's big money. And I don't think you do that for X. Luke Kennard, AC Surreal says, Kennard too, like, what's the word on him? Listen, I'm fine with trading anybody not named Ja, Jaren, and Bane. Okay, I think that's understood for most people. But the fact that he's not playing, a bone bruise is simply, honestly, it's deep into the interior of your knee. Okay, it sucks. It hurts. A lot of it's pain management. Let's just be real. But it can hurt or hinder your movement. A lot of times it just takes time for that to heal in general. And usually it's a month or two, depending on how bad it is.
And I will say, like, as much as I said earlier in the show, I don't know if he exists anymore. I have gotten a bone bruise before, and those things hurt like a mother. Like, they actually do hurt really bad. Who knows? But
AC said, yeah, he's not even on the bench too. Yeah. And so that's a little weird. I know that him and his wife just announced that they're having a kid. That can't be it. Like, you announced that a couple days go by and you're like, all right, we've announced it. Let's keep on with normal life. Like, it's not like you have to be with them, but so there can't be that. Like, there has to be something else.
Like special treatment, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, who knows?
Who cares? But either way, he's not on the bench. He's not with the team. I don't know what's going on. There's got to be something that's happening. The fact that they let Jalen Noel. I saw Powell up here, and I can't get that out of my mind. the comment from NK. But Jalen Noel, they let him walk. He wasn't producing as much anyway. But the fact that they let him walk and they didn't try to make any trades, they didn't do any releases, just lets me know there's some things to come. And we're going to get into a little bit of that in the second thing. Go ahead if you got something.
Yeah, I just want to bring up Joshua's comment. Joshua, I don't know if we've seen you in here before, so thanks for joining us. But I will say with the Roddy thing, a lot of times when he's getting the ball, it's sort of like when Dylan got the ball last year sometimes where he's catching a grenade. Like there's a couple times now he's catching a ball with 6-7 seconds left, or it's one where it's like it's an obvious point where if you have any confidence, you need to be shooting or trying to score. So I do think early in the shot clock, if they're just getting to the offense, he tries to hand the ball off quite a bit. And I feel like he was catching a lot of grenades tonight. And again, I'm a Roddy guy, so I'm a little biased. I like Roddy a lot. I still think he can contribute, and I think we've seen him contribute. I hated watching him shoot some of those shots at the end of the game tonight. But if you want a guy to be confident enough to take those shots, and so I feel like he's catching grenades and he's shooting them because it's an obvious point to shoot. So I did want to point that out.
All right. Let's get past this. Okay, we talked about it long enough. We're 37 minutes into the show, just in general. But we're going to go ahead and get into our second segment. So stay with us. It's going to be a minute break. We're going to get into the Grizz trivia right off the bat. As soon as we do that, we're going to get into a little bit of what this team looks like when Ja returns, because I think there's a lot of stuff that I want to just kind of hit on, because we're talking about Ja, Jaren, Bane being together, maybe Marcus Smart coming back. But how does that look? And I also want to ask, do they play to win this first game on the 18th against the Thunder? Because it is a back-to-back. That Tuesday, they have Ja coming back. So do you want to just go everybody healthy, everybody ready to play? Or do you say, hey, we're going to try to win a game because every win's important? I think there's going to be some thoughts in that. But before we get there, let's go ahead and take a break. And you might recognize this guy. Maybe my best moment ever.
Because I think everyone is saying that Ja's the best player we ever had.
Correct.
Are we ready to put Bane? Where are we putting Bane in?
So I think that he is a top 3 offensive player ever in the franchise.
Right. Easy.
And the reason I give him top 3 is because Zebo was a bad dude. Offensively, like everything. He was one of my favorite Grizzlies ever. He might be my favorite Grizzly. Yeah. Bane is right there with him now already. So.
But if you're putting an all-time Grizzly starting 5, is he your shooting guard or are you going Tony Allen?
100% I'm going Bane. I hated Tony Allen.
I appreciate Tony Allen and what he did.
100%.
But the whole Tony Allen run, like the fan response to him and like the levels we put him in, I was like, I'm sorry, y'all, love y'all, but I don't look at Tony the way y'all do.
This is going to be terrible. And it's going to be slanderous, but you're going to love it. He is a better defensive John Conchar.
Oh, stop. Stop. Whoa. No.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Yo, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Tonight has been fun. We've had a good time. I hope you enjoyed that clip. It just got clipped here recently by Kenny, so shout out Kenny. But that just came out, and so I want to show that tonight. That got Grizz Twitter talking a little bit. I thought it was fun.
Not as much as Sane's tweet today did.
Man, Sane's tweet today, or just from in general of him asking that question, was awesome. But we are Grizz 901, the post-game show here, just recapping every Grizzlies game. It's a lot more fun. There's a lot more people after we win. But listen, a good turnout tonight, absolutely, from everybody. And so the chat is popping as always. So keep with us, but also try to help Nate. Even though I'm going to ask him to close out his comments before I ask him the Grizz trivia question. But go ahead and answer if you know the answer to the Grizz trivia. But if you can, go ahead, be a friend, tell a friend. As I always say, wipe your feet, stay with us, hang out with us. But what I mean is hit the like button. So hit the subscribe button over on YouTube, but also hit that like button. It helps us out and just kind of hanging out with us as much as you can. I think we always try to have a good time with you all. All right. Listen, TA is Conchar. I agree. He is. They're the same guy. Swap their defensive abilities. They're the same guy. They just shoot bricks. All right. Let's go real quick. I have a question for you, Nate, and I think you can get this one. I've never been sure of you just yet. I think this is easy, but let's say
None of it's easy for me.
all right, Nate. This is Grizz trivia. How well do you know your Grizzlies? This is a Memphis Grizzlies only. Nothing to do with Vancouver Grizzlies. The first ever All-Star for the Memphis Grizzlies franchise is who?
Oh, Jesus. Was it Grizzlies or Vancouver? I'm sorry. Vancouver or Memphis? I'm sorry.
I just said it's not for Vancouver. It's only Memphis.
Well, I only half listen to what you say because I value my sanity. No, couldn't have been. Wasn't Battier, was it?
I don't know. Tell me. Listen, I just want you to give me your answer.
I'm gonna say Battier, but I don't feel like there's any chance that's right.
Chat, is it Shane Battier? Push your chat button. It is not Shane Battier.
Oh, Powell?
It is Pau Gasol.
Was he really the first?
He was really the first.
Wow.
Shout out to the chat as always, getting it right.
Dang, that was too easy. I was like, "There's no
too easy."
I was like, "There's no way." Dang. Yeah.
Even Goon the Shooter coming up with Pau Gasol.
I'm trying to think of like underrated players that were here when they were with the Grizzlies. There might be deep cut. It was way easier than I thought. Sorry.
2006, I believe it was, that Pau Gasol was the first ever NBA All-Star for the Memphis Grizzlies. So shout out to Pau. All right. Let's go ahead and get into listen, I love the chat tonight. Battier?
Listen, I didn't know. If anybody's wondering, the reason Daniel loves Grizz trivia is because I know nothing about Grizz history. I've gotten, I think, 2 of these, maybe 3 of these right. And they were all just lucky guesses.
The first one you got right was just a complete craziness because I thought there was 0 chance you're getting that.
Great critical thinking skills on my part.
Yeah. So Gun the Shooter says it was Pal in 2006. All right, let's get into a little bit of Ja Morant because I think that's what I want to hit on a little bit more tonight. Ja Morant in general is about to return on the 19th. He's had his press conference today. If you heard a lot of what came out of that, it was a more mature Ja. I think he looked like he was more determined, more kind of locked in a sense, as you would say. But I think he was a guy that you can kind of say that he's kind of tired of it. He's kind of found himself a little bit, and that's what kind of came out of it for me. Did you hear the press conference or anything that you can kind of take away from that?
I mean, yeah, I heard it, but I don't know. I honestly don't put a bunch of stock into that kind of stuff. I will say that comment you just put up from Big Die, I do think that's kind of what I took away is he didn't seem moved by anything, right? He's just kind of, like you said, he's just ready to be back in it. He's kind of just tired of sitting out and watching it, which I think is all you really can want as a Grizz fan. Like, don't be moved by anything. Just come in and be ready to go. And he seemed locked in, like he's ready to go. But I don't know. As far as the actual answers and stuff, I don't put much stock into that kind of stuff, to be honest.
No, for sure. I think he looked locked in, relaxed, kind of getting ready to take the stage again in a sense. So
yeah,
we'll see. All right, let's go ahead and get into the offense and what it might look like with Ja.
Better.
How do you think it flows? Because you're talking about a guy in Jaren who has shown a lot of ability as of late. I think Jaren is the one who possibly could get hurt a little bit more of Ja returning because of his offense is mainly coming right now in Jaren. It's coming from the post, right? And I don't know if they've ever really played, together when Jaren was more dominant in the post. So I think it's going to get more of you getting used to compared to somebody you can just throw the ball out to in Bane who can create for himself. So what's your thoughts on whenever, kind of get back and what the flow of the offense might look like?
The flow of the offense is going to be Ja Morant goes and scores, so we don't have to worry about this crap anymore.
That's it.
Simple. So we don't have to worry about David Roddy and Jacob Gilliard instigating or initiating the offense. Dad, Bradley Beal got hurt again.
Did he really?
Sorry, Suns fans. Yeah, I just saw you. Oh, good God. Yeah, you got hurt. That's a bad roll. Here's the deal with Ja is like one of those things where right now you need somebody to help Dez. You need somebody to help Jaren. But Ja, you really don't need people to help him.
Yeah.
He's one of those. the craziest thing about John is why, like I said, I don't think he fixes every problem for this team. I know he doesn't fix every problem for this team. He fixes a lot of problems, because that's the difference between even Dez, who's been amazing this year, and Ja gets to that point where, like, you can't do anything. You can't stop him when he decides he's going to score on you. You just can't. And so that's going to be helpful, because then it allows you to stack minutes with Bane, stack minutes with Jaren, stack Bane and Jaren together when Ja's off the floor, and life gets easier for everybody. A lot of these shots that aren't falling for guys right now, the confidence that comes from having a guy like Ja on the floor where there's not the pressure to make every one of these shots, a lot of things are going to be a lot better. I'm not going to say. I was going to say even LaRavia might start making shots, but let's not get crazy. But at the end of the day, like, if we're talking about flow of the offense, the good news is you don't have to integrate Ja into anything. Like, you just put it out there and say, "Hey, dude, go fix this." So I think that's all you can have. Josh is going to go get buckets, and it's going to help the team a lot.
All right, let's go ahead and get into a little bit of these comments, because I think they're important. I agree. I think we can talk about that. But as Joshua Esplin said, he's worried about, like, Desmond and Ja kind of playing together. I worry less about those two dudes, because they can both create. I think you can kick out, and you can kind of – I don't know if y'all saw it tonight. I believe it was the end of the first quarter. It looked like our offense, if you know what motion offense looks like, where there's, movement into the middle, kicks out, it kind of spins around. It's almost like a circular motion, like like the toilet, go in the water, whatever. It looks like everything's spinning the right direction, because everybody's, filling your spot as you go into the paint. And it's just always a rotation coming in and out of the offense, mainly circled around the paint. Well, that's what you get with Ja a lot of times. But because of Dez being so good, I think you're going to see that even more, because Ja's going to try to get into the paint. And at that point, it's a kick out. And if it's not to Bane on the first kick out, the second kick out is going straight into Bane, who's going to do the exact same thing that Ja just did and get to the paint, where it's continual motion. And so that's what I think it's going to end up being with those two dudes. The person who I think gets hurt by that, like I said, is Jaren, because I think he's the guy who kind of gets stuck where he might be the floater on the outside. Or, in my opinion, I think you run him in all the screens, just like they did in Olympic basketball. If you run him in all the screens, he's always in motion. So that means you can easily dump to him, kick out to him, let him flare. He can go roll with you. But he's actually involved compared to the other way around, where he could get stuck out to being just a guy out in the perimeter.
I think you can fix that by stacking the minutes correctly, where Jaren is out there either with Bane, or he's the one that has to go solo sometimes. So you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. You can just feed him. But two, it's like that's on Taylor, man. That is on Taylor to make sure that they exploit the matchups that he has been taking advantage of, right? Ja has been more than willing to defer in the past and do that, right? He's been more than willing to be able to feed Jaren. So if they don't, then it's another indictment on Taylor, right? Which, again, we are not a Taylor-hating show. We have not been a Taylor-hating show. But I think you and I both recognize that what's happened so far this season has been an abject disaster. And from a coaching standpoint, you don't have much, but you haven't maximized what you do have.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. That's another part of it. Can you maximize what you have?
Right. I agree. That's the problem. When you get Ja back, can you, as Alan says, the core three all surrounded by a bunch of scrubs? It's not on Taylor. Listen, I will agree with that one if it was surrounded by a bunch of scrubs. The problem is
all on Taylor.
When Ja gets back, I believe you're going to get Smart back. You possibly could be getting Luke back. There's a possible trade in the works. I would say that has to happen, because the fact that you're getting more guys back, which would mean that your roster upgrades just automatically. And so I don't think that it's all on Taylor, obviously, at that point, because they are bad. But I think you also have to put some on Taylor, because if, as right here, as NK says, if Taylor can't get the core three to all play well together for another year, then yes, he should be gone. I will agree with that, because eventually you got to take stepping stones within an organization, within a business, or whatever you're looking at. If you're not properly taking the right steps then you eventually just got to take the top off and you got to put in new leadership to head the right direction. That's how it works. That's business 101. Right now, if he can't take you to the next level as a coach, as a leader, then you do have to actually take him off and move him out of the way and grab somebody who you think can. The problem is, who are you getting? I don't know anybody that's out there. You can't get a young coach. A young coach is like, that's not what you do anymore. Okay. Yeah. We don't need prove it coaches anymore.
Bud.
Yeah, we don't need prove it coaches anymore. Yeah. So do you get rid of the apprentice and go to the master?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless we're getting
off mini Bud for Bud.
Unless we're getting Pop, the real master of the masters. Yeah, we're not doing
what
that.
What would be amazing is for Taylor to put it all together and put the pieces together and then go on the run of runs, right? Because it's one of the things where I think in the past I was a huge, like, he should have won Coach of the Year over Monty the year Monty won.
I agree.
I don't think that's a hot take, honestly.
No, it's
whatsoever.
not.
So we've been fans of Taylor. It's just one of those things where this year you look at stuff and you're like, dude, I know you don't have a bunch of players, but some of these lineups, I'm like, dog, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah.
Obviously they're not going to fire him this year. That's not going to be something they should do. And like, I don't know that he should be gone next year if you can't maximize it. It's only because of what you said, which is, who are you going to go get, man?
Right.
Who are you bringing in? Like, don't bring in a first-year head coach. That's a terrible idea. So like, what are you going to do? And then you can say, oh, Ty Lue.
No.
Okay. Like, no, I wouldn't mind getting Ty Lue, but okay, let's go get that guy from Los Angeles. Let's get that guy to move out of LA that's already won like however many champions. Like, right? Like, what are we doing? So yeah, it's we should see if Jackie Moon's available. Shout out Shane.
Yeah. Shout out to that comment, Shane. So I want to hit on Keith that I had this start. I want to bring this back up. He's asked the question, do you think Jenkins finally has some accountability with the front office when Ja gets back? What I will say is absolutely no. I think if you had to bring in Jenkins in the front office, them dudes like this. I could be completely wrong. I think they are lock and step for sure.
I think, if anything, the front office is the one telling Taylor what to do out there.
In a sense, yes.
Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I don't think like Taylor has more say over what the front office does than the front office has say over what he does, if they are at odds at all, right? Like, otherwise, explain what's happening with Ziaire LaRavia right now. Like, come on, man. Like, you could say, okay, Taylor just loves those guys, but chances are they spend a first-round pick and they're trying to maximize it.
Sure.
Or they're trying to trade those other two guys. They don't want them to get hurt. And so they say, hey, play this guy because we're trying to move these guys, right? So I don't think there's much accountability to be had. I'd say it's much more likely he's doing what they're asking him to do right now.
Right. 100%. Listen, I think they're on the same page. I think Taylor is the kind of coach that they would like to have, because not saying they do everything he says. I think he has the locker room still. I've always said, as long as a coach has a locker room and you're putting out a good product, I don't know where else you can go for the most part. I am not the guy who says fire coaches. I am not that dude. As I said earlier in the beginning of this podcast, this is not a fire coaches show. I don't think coaches have that much importance in just a normal team. I think it's mostly on the talent, the players. I think you can direct them. You can steer them in the right direction. I also think that out of timeouts, you can have those X's and O's plays. I think late game stuff is important. Feel is important. I think he does struggle at feel of a game because I think he has the mind, like his, like you have the stats. Always got to go to the stats, just like as you see in football right now. Like if it's 4th and 2, you almost have to go for it if you're on the other side of midfield. But if it's 4th and 7, then there's like a certain percent that you might want to do it and then you don't want to do it. Listen, I don't know. I feel like he's the same way. He kind of gets lost in a lot of the analytics of the game, and that's fine. But you don't want to have too much of that in the game where you lose your feel.
I did want to bring this up too, because I do think it was actually something I was thinking about today while we're watching John that press conference. Like, that's a dude that is still bought in here, and especially a place like Memphis. Like, you don't want to alienate players by getting rid of a coach they want either, right? And so if you can go get a guy that's an awesome coach, that then the players, and then you go to the business side of like, hey, this is a good coach. The business is the business. Buy into this guy, and it makes sense. But you don't get rid of Taylor to bring in just anybody if he still has those guys, right? So that's just another part of it that I do think kind of is underrated part of him being the coach of this team is he has those young players bought in, right? And bought into him and his coaching style and that relationship. So if it gets to a point it's untenable, it doesn't matter and you go get a new coach. But until it's gotten to that point, unless you have a rock star replacement, you don't make a move just to make a move.
Listen, I will say this right here, and this is kind of what I've always said, is he's improved every year. If they can figure out a way to get in the top 8 when Ja returns, I don't know if you can give as much to Taylor, okay? But the fact that they can somehow get into the 8 says a lot about Ja Morant, 100%. I don't want to take anything from Ja Morant. But that also goes into coaching too, because you're going to have to keep these guys ready and locked in for the next 57 games. And I'm talking about at minimum as 65% win percentage. At minimum. And that's all year long. That's missing out on all the big runs where you take the big losing streaks. It's a consistent night over night. You have your team locked in. That's where a real coach comes in, is if you can keep your team locked in, even in the toughest parts of the season, I think it's very important. And so we're going to see 100%. You're going to see what the coaching staff, what the players are made of this year. This is a year where the first 25 games sucked. They have sucked. I promise you. I've been on here on video most of the time just wearing it. It's not been fun. Okay, well, so I know it sucked. But the next 25 could be effing awesome.
Yeah, 2 things can be true at once, right? Like the dude could come back, improve, show a lot of improvement, be a better coach, things go well, they make an adjustment. Obviously, the roster he's had has been just absolutely terrible, right? That can all be true. It can also be true that you shouldn't have dropped games to the Wizards. You shouldn't have dropped games to the Jazz. You shouldn't have dropped games to the Trailblazers. And you didn't have this team ready when those games happened.
Yeah.
Right? You shouldn't have dropped that game tonight, man. Truth be told, you shouldn't have pulled Jaren when you pulled him in the first quarter when all the momentum's on your side and you have a chance to bury that team in the first, man. You have a chance to walk up out of that first quarter up basically 40-14.
Yeah.
Right? And you just decide to stick with your subs. It can't freaking happen. That's the kind of stuff that, like, 2 things can be true where, yeah, the roster's terrible. He's been a good coach in the past. He's done some really good things. At the same time, he has shown deficiencies this year. And deficiencies that can cost you at the highest level.
Yeah.
Right. So I think everybody has a point, but right now the Taylor haters have the upper hand.
100%. And I eat crow all the time because I've been notoriously, I try to back coaches in general, but I back Taylor and I have to wear it most of the time. All right. Let's move on to our third segment, which is going to be all about previewing the next game that's coming up. And that is the Thunder. It's a 7:00 game. It's at OKC. It's on the front end of a back-to-back with travel before you get into that TNT matchup with the Pelicans, the Ja return. There's a lot I have to share about that. There's going to be an extra live show that you don't even know about, Nate.
I don't believe it.
You as soon as we're over at the break. This looks like it's 1 minute and 1 second. If you can't hang on, please hang on.
People have this thing like, oh, I'm keeping the receipts, and I'm going to remember who said this. We wasn't lying.
Well, I get yeah. So that's one. I've reached a point where, like, anything you say on Twitter, I can ignore it.
Right.
Like, I'm not promising you I'll never pop back at somebody. Sometimes I do. I might today, but I often don't. I would say for every 50 negative comments I get, I might reply to one. I don't get involved.
I'm getting there too, man.
Yeah, but you don't look like you're getting there. I see you arguing all day long every day. You gotta wait. There, man. You got a ways to go.
Well, I might get more. Well, I don't get as many as you.
Well, how about this? And I'm not saying you have to get there. I'm just saying I am there. There are different ways to handle social media. I just found it to be largely unproductive. Right. But
I do it for calisthenics sometimes. Right. Like I don't feel no way. I just okay. Let me just engage in this just for fun.
Yeah. Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, I thought that was very funny and very fitting for today. As if you all saw, Sane just going to bat against all these people. It was very fun. But if you could do me a favor, go check out the other shows that are on the Bluff City Media Network. Obviously, we're going to be here after each and every Grizzlies game, but also we have a lot of Tiger stuff. Right, Tigers Untapped they have really good shows. On the Bluff is also a very good show by Gabe and Christian. And then, as we talked about earlier, it's the Sane show. Sane is live every Wednesday and Friday at noon. And so they went ahead and put the shows out Wednesdays, Fridays at noon. Friday's show should be pretty good, judging for the fact that I think they record today in the midst of all of this that's happening. It should be a pretty good show. But do me a favor is log into the Daily Grind in the morning. Mark and Luke do a very good job. I'm sorry, tomorrow is Saturday. So Monday, they'll be back here for Monday. So tune into them if you can. The secret I was going to say is something I don't know is even being talked about. Is something that I'm going to be back on the Wednesday show at noon. It is the day after the Ja Morant return. And so I'm going to be on that. And so potentially there's a rumor on the street. It could be a live show. Could be. So make sure you tune in to that next Wednesday at noon. We could be doing a show very similar to this. And so make sure you tune into that. It's in the works. We're working on it. We're trying to figure it out. It could be coming soon to you. Let's go ahead and get into the Thunder preview. The Grizzlies take on the OKC Thunder on the 18th of December, getting very close to Christmas. But we get a Christmas present coming early in Ja Morant. What's your thoughts on the Thunder?
Merry Chrysler. I think they're going to beat the piss out of the Grizzlies. I think they're going to just, bash them. I think it's going to be kind of ugly. I think you probably play all your guys unless you're getting bashed. Like if you're in the game, I think you play them and try and get the win. What you were talking about earlier, of like, do you want to have everybody just come into the other game fresh? I think Ja coming back just gives everyone a jolt of energy. I don't think you worry about that on that back-to-back. So, that being said, that Thunder team has got way too much offensive firepower and honestly size for you. Like they're bigger than the Grizzlies, which has been something they've struggled with a lot in the past, which is another reason why it's a shame they couldn't take advantage of the Rockets games. But yeah, like it's going to be whatever. I think it's probably going to get ugly, but hey, the Grizzlies have showed up against teams that didn't expect them to so far this season, and I don't think they're a juggernaut like the Wolves are. So could end up going really well for them. We'll see what happens. I will say, everybody that's in the comments going back and forth about Taylor and him and his coaching abilities and what happened in the playoffs, what hasn't happened in the playoffs, like it's okay, guys. Take a breath. No one sits there and says we hate Taylor Jenkins. We just say, hey, it wasn't great. Maybe some of you guys do hate Taylor Jenkins, but don't. It's not worth your energy. And some people are like, hey, he could be doing better. You're absolutely right.
Nah,
but
let these guys go.
Don't have to do drugs either. I'm telling you, because you
have to prove your point. Don't stop.
Being able to watch Grizzlies basketball without having to watch Ziaire and Ziaire LaRavia minutes is going to hit like crack. So don't resort to drugs now, because you're going to get that same high in a couple of games when you don't have to watch that anymore. So namaste.
All right, enough of that.
Shalom.
Tonight, the Kings and the Thunder went at each other, 128 to 123. It's arguing time. I like that.
Eat crab. Shout out to that. You could be coached by Monty Williams, who just decides that's one player that you hate, no matter who you coach. It has to be a player on the team that you hate. I guess it's better if you love everybody. I don't know. Maybe not.
So OKC lost tonight to the Kings on the road. They lost 128 to 123. SGA 43 points. Fox 41. What a duel, man. You know what I hate just in general about that is we're not going to get Ja versus SGA. We do still get Bane, but it's not the same as Ja versus SGA. But SGA has been a menace. But I'm excited because I think that this game tonight I saw another good game out of Vince. Vince will get the start on Monday. I don't see any way possible they don't go with Vince. He was the best of the worst, right? And so that being said, I'm going to go with Vince. I think Vince guards SGA. Dude, I think that Vince could do a really good job on SGA. It could come. It could be coming. Could be coming. It could be a coming out.
Or well, let's just say this about Vince too. Vince has been good, period.
Yes.
Vince has not been good comparatively, right? He's not been good relatively. Vince has been good. Like Vince has been rotation player, like not even 8, 9, 10, like 6, 7 level guy, right? Even for this team, way higher. He's like the third best player for them tonight, right? So he has been really good, and he's honestly, I think we talked about this, been what we hoped he could be after what we saw in summer league and preseason type stuff. So that's been really good. But against the Thunder, absolutely, you've got to start him, right? You've got to have him on SGA. But the problem with the Thunder is they do what the Grizzlies don't, which is everybody contributes, right? Like you got Lou Dort. Lou Dort contributes. SGA contributes. Josh Giddey can contribute. Like there's nobody on the court at a given time for the most part for them that isn't a threat at some level. And the problem is for the Grizzlies, you're playing guys right now that honestly just aren't a threat in any way. So it just can be a bit of a train wreck. So that's my main concern is the Grizzlies. It's going to be a little bit of 5-on-3 at certain points, most likely when you're out there.
Okay. Looking at this team, what they do is they play their 5 guys. All 5 starters had 29 or more minutes tonight. SGA had 38. The one that had the least was 2 guys at 29 with Jalen Williams and Josh Giddey. So you're talking about a team that's going to play their dudes. And so with that being said, I really just think that they have to figure out a way to maybe play our dudes more. And if you look at their stuff, they did go, it looks like 12 deep. I think that's, just because they played 2 guys, a 5 and a 7, just to make men's meet in a sense. I'm not exactly sure. I wasn't watching the game.
I'm not sure what you just tried to say.
But they're trying to figure things out, I think, within those extra guys. But nobody on their bench played more than they played one guy at 19. The rest of them played 15 or less minutes. So, I just think that this team has a lot of length. They're going to shoot some 3-pointers, but it's not a ton. There's nobody just popping off for the most part. SGA is not a big-time 3-point shooter. He will shoot some, but he's not going to just completely go crazy with 8 to 10 3-pointers. And so I think what you have is you have to defend the paint. The Grizzlies do a very good job of that. And because of that, I think they have a chance to win this. You can play a little bit smaller just in girth with Bismack Biyombo. Bismack played a really good job tonight on actually getting some key rebounds. But would you put Bismack on Chet?
You have to. Yeah, you have to.
Because you're have to play Bismack over these other dudes.
Well, you're not putting Jaren on Chet either, right? That's just, he's probably going to get into foul trouble. He's going to get too handsy. So you put, I think you put Biz on Chet, and then you probably put Jaren. I would guess they put him on Lou Dort, but I would just have him on Giddey, to be honest. I wouldn't mind Jaren being on Giddey. I don't know. He might be. He's so old, Giddey won't want to touch him. So at least have that going. How much are they paying Davis Bertans? Anybody know? Sorry, anytime I see Davis Bertans is playing for a team, I start laughing immediately.
He's too old. He won't
pay for $60 million, whatever it was. What's crazy though, the thing is going to be trouble for them. Honestly, putting Biz on Chet, putting Jaren on whoever, that's not the biggest issue. The issue is that their wings are so much bigger than our guys. Right. Our guards and wings are so much bigger than our guys. That's the problem. But yeah, it's Jalen Williams, Santa Barbara. Jalen Williams, I think is awesome. He only went 2 for 14 the other night, 0 for 4 from 3, but that dude's really good.
That was tonight.
Lou Dort has improved so much. Even Arkansas, Jalen Williams, pretty good. Isaiah Joe, 1 for 5 from 3, which is the worst he'll do all season. So They don't shoot a ton of threes, but when they do, they tend to make them. Like they shot 30%, and that's very surprising to see.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Well, listen, I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think this is a throwaway game, just in general. I think it's always fun to see a young up-and-coming team. They are third in the West currently right now. And so I believe it will be a fun game to watch. They're going to play their guys. Grizzlies, they don't necessarily play their guys. The great thing I will say is Ja's coming back. And so, yes, they might lose, and they probably will lose. But that whole conversation gets flipped the next night. And so I'm excited. I don't know. The excitement level around the fan base has to be at an all-time after Monday. I think it will be, because it's almost like Christmas morning. You're getting back a guy who is your best player in your franchise ever. Has to be.
And the Pelicans have way too much size for the Grizzlies to handle, and they still might come out and win that game, because that's what that does. I'm telling you, it's a mindset that comes with having Ja Morant, right? Like that's a dude that can score on anybody. Anybody. Wemby, 7 foot, $1 million, doesn't matter. Ja can score on you.
Right.
And having a guy on the floor that hey, if I miss this shot, it's okay. Ja's going to pick me up next play. It just helps so much. So it's going to be awesome. I could see them rattling off a few wins in a row after that, especially if Marcus Smart's back. So hopefully we don't just get Ja Morant, we get the cavalry.
We definitely need the cavalry coming back. Marcus Smart is possibly going to be coming back. I'm not exactly sure. He is going to be doing some 5-and-5. They do have 2 days off before the next game. There's almost no chance they would ever play him in that Monday night game, but potentially they all could, Smart and Ja could come back together on Tuesday night, which would be it would be tough because you are getting him back, but also there's a lot of kinks you're having to figure out how to work out, because 2 new players into the scheme of things who you haven't had in a long time, and honestly, Ja never this year.
Who gives it? What's it going to get worse?
It can't get worse.
Listen, the cavalry better be here, or else somebody's going to have to show up with a gun to put me down, because I can't take much more of this. Watching these Ziaire LaRavia, Ziaire Williams minutes, I can't take it. So.
All right. Well, that's all we got for the show. Shout out to the chat tonight, man. Y'all were popping. I loved it. I never go an hour and 15. I'm honestly exhausted, but I have so much fun when the chat's going. If you want the show to go long, just start chatting it up. You can go at each other. I enjoyed the commentary back and forth. I couldn't keep up with half of it. But I did really enjoy it. We now see that people can comment from Twitter, which is awesome. But if you could do me a favor, go to our YouTube channel at Bluff City Media. There's great content that comes out. The Tigers are starting to ball out, man. Penny and his boys are doing really good.
Big game tomorrow.
But also we have to like just in general, just supporting the local, local content creators is awesome. I've always tried to do that myself. So if you could help us out a little bit, hit that subscribe button and kind of pump that up a little bit as well. But hit the like button, as I always say. But we'll be here and back again on Monday night. We're doing double dip. So a Monday night, a Tuesday night. And so shout out Keith, new subscribers. I appreciate that. Oh, whoa. What's going on here? You are that Nathan Qualls.
I don't know. Somebody said I should coach tonight. I think it was sarcastically, but hey, I'll take it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm the only Nathan Qualls as far as that goes. I was always the only person with a Q last name in my class, and Nathan for sure was the only one there.
I went to high school with his cousin. Didn't know him then. Thank God. But I will say, last thing I will on everything else. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Monday night, it's just going to be good. It's just going to be us in general, just as normal show, which will be awesome and entertaining, I hope. But Tuesday, we do have a special guest that's going to come on for about 15 minutes. I did verify Jessica Benson from Grind City Media with the Grizzlies and all that. Jessica Benson will be on here for about 15 minutes or so, just chatting it up. Me and Jessica had formed a friendship a long time ago. We've talked back in the day when she was on a road trip with her mom to Alabama, and it kept going in and out of service, and we've shared a lot of good laughs. But also, if you don't know, I was the one who said something. I responded to Jessica Benson way back in the day about John not having that fire in his eye. Well, that's where the whole conversation relationship from me and JB started, is because I tweeted that, put my phone down, and woke up, and my phone was blowing up. And so ever since then, it's been a really good time. But Jessica is awesome as always.
Yep.
And so make sure you come on here, support her, support us. But we'll be back here definitely on Monday to give you more about the Grizzlies and the hope that's coming when 12 comes back. Anything else?
Shout out Keith. Sorry. I said I saw Maddox, and I'm like, I know that last name. I'm literally friends with Keith and his wife on Facebook. It took me a minute to put it together. Shout out Keith. My bad, dog. Thanks for hopping in with us.
Shout out, Keith. All right. Shout out to everybody. It's been a great night. It's been a fun night. It is a Friday night. So have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Be nice and tell your friends.